The next team is going to be Liverpool. I still have my doubts over Liverpool's midfield and the fact that McAllister and Dominic look amazing, especially in that first game. They're class players, technically gifted, but without that CDM. Okay, back here with the Premier League predictions. I've not done it yet, mainly because I've just had content planned ahead. You know, I can't record all the content that I want as often as I've liked to, so I have to choose 3 or 2 days during the week where I just record as much content as possible. Again, I'm trying to give you guys daily football content, but that's besides the point. Here is my Premier League predictions. I've done it on the PC Footy podcast already, if you want to go and check that out. But we're doing things a bit different. I don't want to just do a generic one where there's, he's going to finish first, he's going to finish second. I kind of like the tier list. If you know me, if you know my channel, I prefer the tier list because I just overall just a better way to rank things. And if we're going to start this off, let's start with the champions. And in my opinion, it's quite easy. If you know football, if you've been watching the Premier League, Man City, at least from a prediction standpoint. So of course, things can happen during the season. We were showing that last year. Things can happen during the season. There can be surprises, etc., etc. But if I'm predicting, if I'm looking at the field, if I'm looking at which teams play the best brand of football, which teams made the smartest moves, which team squads in comparison to the rest of the competition look the best, I definitely have to put Man City up there. Still the greatest manager of all time, in my opinion, Pep Guardiola. A team that doesn't really look to slow down too much, and again, in comparison to the rest of the competition, I think Man City is still the best. Then the Champions League spots. Now the Champions League spots, I'm not just going to put from team number 2 to team number 4. I'm going to put the teams that I think have a chance this season of fighting for top 4, and there aren't just 3 teams, as I said. There are 4 teams who, in my opinion, could realistically get Champions League football. It's going to come down to these 4 teams, and the first team is, of course, Arsenal. I think that after Man City, Arsenal play the best brand of football in the Premier League. I love the way Arteta sets up his team. If you want to say that it's very similar to Pep Guardiola, I mean, okay, I guess, but it's still a beautiful brand of football. I like the pieces that Arteta has there on that team. I like the versatility that Arteta and Edu have been able to build for that team. I think Arsenal just look great. I'm looking at these young players. I'm looking at these young leaders in Odegaard, in Saka, in Declan Rice. That's definitely a team that's ready to once again try and push for something special this season. So I have Arsenal definitely in the Champions League spots at least. Then I also have Newcastle. I think that after those two, the team that I most enjoy watching, the team that kind of play the most exciting, attracting football is Newcastle. I think Eddie Howe is not being praised enough, I'd say, because yes, Newcastle do have the money. Yes, they spent a lot of money on Tonali, for example, but they've not made any crazy signing. They've never spent like 100 million, for example. When they have it looks like they have the ability to do so, at least with the owners that they have. They're taking things slow and it's working. They are building a true foundation. It looks like Newcastle are building something special with Eddie Howe there, and they are playing amazing football. Last year, they were able to make it to the top 4. It will be harder this year, especially with European football. But again, this isn't exactly number 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the teams that I think could be getting Champions League football next season. The next team is going to be Liverpool. I still have my doubts over Liverpool's midfield and the fact that McAllister and Dominic look amazing, especially in that first game. They're class players, technically gifted, but without that CDM to add stability to that Liverpool team, I can't really have them much higher than just Champions League football. I don't think they'll be able to compete with the likes of Man City. That attack to me still looks solid. They need to sort out that number 9 problem, whether they're playing Jota or Darwin Núñez. It still doesn't look too convincing for me. They need to sort the number 9 problem. They need to sort out the CDM position. So that's the main reason why I don't have Liverpool any higher. Then I have Man United. Man United, similar to Liverpool, 2 teams that I really like, but they just have problems. They just have problems that I think are going to kind of derail them during the season. For example, in comparison to a team like Arsenal or Newcastle. United, if you're talking about the problems, you're talking about the doubts regarding Rasmus Højlund and how good he's going to be. You have doubts especially about the partnership of Bruno Fernandes and Mason Mount, who at times just look, not at times, most of the time when they play together, look like two headless chickens running around. Those two even make Casemiro look lost because there's no one to add some stability to that midfield. There's of course question marks around the right hand side. Once again, it's been going on for years, but even with the addition of Antony, of Sancho, of Amad Diallo, of Pellistri, the right hand side of United is still a massive question mark. I think that the defense of United is probably their best point so far. I think the defense is quite solid. Right back could be a bit better with Wan-Bissaka, but still solid defense who Ten Hag was able to take to the most clean sheets last year. So this United team, still a good team in my opinion, still a team that could go on a nice run, but a team that definitely has its many issues. Then if I'm talking about the teams that could possibly get Europa League next season, I have Chelsea up there. I think that Chelsea should do better than what they did last year. Still have the problems which were definitely evident in that game against West Ham, but I still think that Chelsea, so I still have the hopes that Chelsea are going to do better this year. With Pochettino, so I'm going to have Chelsea on all these for possibility for Chelsea to finish with Europa League next season. Brighton, of course, also lost a few key players, but Brighton's also going to be another one of those teams that I think could be fighting for those positions. Then Conference League, of course, you can't kind of ignore the likes of Aston Villa, who could really be fighting for Europa League as well. But I'm going to have Aston Villa within this range. You of course, and I think that'll be it. And then from the number 8th spot, which is to be fair still quite high in the Premier League, but from 8 to 10 to 14 and 16 in the Premier League, it kind of just happens. I forgot one team. I do apologize. I forgot one team. I forgot Tottenham, definitely up there to try and get Europa League, and also forgot West Ham, who should at least be able to be fighting for Conference League football. These are definitely the teams who are definitely going to be challenging for the title, challenging for bigger things this season, challenging for European football, etc. I do apologize. I forgot about Tottenham and West Ham. I just couldn't quite see them over here. But as I was saying, these other teams, it usually isn't always the same in the Premier League. So I'm going to go through relegation first, and then we'll talk about the rest of these teams. I don't think Luton Town is staying this year. I think Luton Town are going to struggle. I think that I just don't think they have the facilities like other teams in the Premier League to try and make that deep run, if I'm being completely honest. I think Sheffield United is another team that will struggle this year. So yeah, this isn't me trying to hate on these teams. This is just me having an objective look at these teams and trying to figure out where they finish, and of course Burnley as well. Again, it just looks kind of cheap from me to pick the 3 teams that were promoted to go back down straight away. But I'm just looking at the other level of competition, and I don't think that these teams are any better than the 5A. Of course, surprises always happen, but from a prediction standpoint, this is where I have these teams. Then I'm going to leave Everton somewhere up here. I'm going to leave the rest of these teams over here, because with these teams, you never know. I can't exactly predict them to finish 8th or 10 or 11, 13, 17. I think that would just be me guessing. And because I'm not really going to guess with these teams, I'm just going to leave them somewhere here. These are teams that are going to be in the middle of the table, fighting or either close to relegation or closer to the top half of the table, excuse me. But I'm not too sure on these teams. And if I try to make then it wouldn't be a prediction, it would be me more kind of guessing. These are the teams that I think should be fighting for the big things this season. These are the teams that I'm not too high on, and then these teams, they'll sort themselves out as the season goes along. But anyways, guys, this is the list. Please let me know in the comments what you think. to the end of the video. I appreciate you watching to the end. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, share. Do all these things to help me grow this channel. If you want daily football content, as I said, subscribe. Whether it is videos like this, watch-alongs, reaction videos, shorts, you name it. A bunch of content coming to the channel. And if you're a football fan, then this is definitely the place to say. But anyways, guys, I'll see you soon.